What's something that you once believed to be essential in your life, but after going without, decided it really wasn't? Tobacco. Every day I would tell myself, this is bad for you, but you can quit anytime. It seemed like I was in control when I really wasn't. I saw it as essential without seeing it as essential, if you know what I mean. I believe that is what makes cigarettes so addictive. They make you lie to yourself. Once I stopped, I truly felt like I could live the rest of my life without tobacco. I agree, but they make you lie to yourself. This applies to any addiction, tbh. I believed it was essential to be accompanied by people so that I wouldn't feel lonely. However, I have realized that there's a massive difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Sometimes I don't feel lonely despite being alone, and other times I end up feeling lonely even though I have company. Sometimes I don't feel lonely despite being alone, and other times I end up feeling lonely even though I have company. I've always only felt lonely around other people. I used to hold on to every single workbook from my primary and secondary school, bits of cardboard and fabric I could use for stuff and other stuff like that. After moving out of a house for a year then returning, I realized I'm never actually going to do stuff with them. Living without them for a year helped me see I don't need to hold on to this stuff, which I think saved me from a potential hoarding problem. Suboxone, the opioid maintenance medication. It's helpful for many, and I believe it helped me to a certain extent. However, every time I would try to get off of it, I would land right back where I started. After the last time once I had picked up using again, I decided to just cold turkey instead of getting back on the medication. Once the withdrawals and mental fog cleared, I rediscovered actual joy. Well done. Not an easy thing to do at all. Probably sounds vain, but things like eyelash extensions or getting my nails done. Really thought I needed those things to feel pretty. That's the power of advertising, baby. A freaking swimming pool. My god, what a mistake. I used to just lay awake at night and listen to my electric meter run. Kids, take it from me. Join a pool. Don't own one. Much like a boat, you don't want a pool, you want a friend with a pool. New clothes. I used to do the seasonal shop. 110 new items for every season. All necessities. So 4 times a year, I had over 3 closets worth of clothes, including things I'd had in high school. 10 years ago, a year ago, I decided that not buying new clothes would be a good way to reduce my spending. So I started only buying clothes that truly filled a gap or replaced something I had actually worn out. Which means that in a year I have only bought 1 work dress, 1 pair of leggings, 1 basics shirt, and 1 special event outfit. I started gutting my huge collection of clothing and getting rid of all the items I didn't absolutely love wearing or need for work. It has been freeing, and I would never go back to the seasonal shop life. I didn't even know doing a seasonal shop was a thing. I grew up poor. Dessert. I cut back massively on sweets 18 months ago and I've lost 65 pounds. I didn't really miss sweets after a while. Disposable paper towels. During university I was too cheap and broke to pay for them, so I went without. Once I got used to using washable cloths to clean up, I didn't even really feel the need for paper towels. Now that I'm out of school I can afford to buy paper towels. I keep some around. I realize how wasteful they are and I try to use them sparingly. I only use paper towels for cleaning up disgusting things, like cat vomit. Bottled water. I live in an area with safe tap water. It doesn't taste great, but gets the job done. When coronavirus hit and there was a crazy rush on bottled water, I couldn't get my hands on any. Turns out, I don't care about bottled water. I'm drinking tap water like a champ now, and it's practically free. I wish people would stop paying for bottled water and feeding the industry. It's such a waste of money to bottle and ship, and causes significant harm to the towns they bottle it from. Just buy a filter if you don't trust the probably fine tap water. A rigorous skincare routine, but only because no matter what I try, my skin seems to stay the same, which I'm fine with. Coloring my grey hair. Waste of money and time. I no longer care if it makes me look old. Women spend a lot of money to get the beautiful platinum color I have naturally. Female hair, and I'd totally let my premature grey grow out if I could have that cool streak versus peppered all over. Bullying siblings. For years I thought I had to keep accommodating them, tying myself into knots to try to get their approval or even just acceptance, because they came out of the same uterus as me. It turns out that going no contact at all, calmly and without malice, was easy and oh so peaceful. At first I thought you meant that you'd given up bullying your siblings. Smoking. I started way too young and smoked for about 15 years. Now I haven't smoked one in 18 months and I can't even understand why I needed it so much. I also smoked for 15 years, but I just gave it up the first of this year. I want to smoke every day. I credit my therapist for holding me accountable, otherwise I would have certainly gone back. Coffee. Thanks to a series of events, I was unable to have my morning cup of joe and had to go without it this month. Thanks Corona. Thanks to quitting, my acne has cleared up and I feel a little bit better without the high highs and the low lows. Also the never ending chase of the caffeine dragon is a plus. I might get downvoted, but weed. I wasn't physically addicted, but I smoked every 2 to 3 hours every day for 17 years. It had become a warm coat in a cold world. Having a daughter, I realized I was much like my dad in drinking. I was an irritable butthole when I wasn't smoking, would pick fights over stupid stuff, and spend most of my time too tired to do much beyond what was required of me. I was also constantly broke and borrowing money. It's so nice to be clear-headed with energy. I spend more time with my family and I even sleep better. This is by no means directed at other people. I still love weed, the culture, and my fellow heads. Everyone needs to do what is right for their own lives. I'm glad you've found a happy, clear place in your life. I'm sad that you felt the need to almost apologize for it. Weed, like any substance, can be detrimental in excess. Approval confirmation of others. Took me way too long to realize that I do not need confirmation of others as a proof that something is wrong. And the other way round, if they deny it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Bottled water. I am and have always been an avid water drinker. I spent nearly 20 years of my life only drinking bottled water. Now I feel so horrible because of the pollution. I now have a Brita filter water bottle and will drink from the tap a good bit, except for well water, yuck. I never understood the need for bottled water except if you know you will be in a physical location without water, or if a hurricane is coming or something similar. Makeup. Spent a month in Panama where I'm too hot and sweaty all the time to wear any, and it's just made me realize that I'm actually happy with my face as it is. Labels. I spent about 25 years thinking that I needed to clearly define myself by labels in order to fit in or gain respect. Ultimately I found that none of the many labels on places like Tumblr applied to me with the precision I wanted. This struggle with my identity bothered me badly for a very long time. I finally realized that even if I did manage to encapsulate the whole of my being into one line of text, what exactly would I do with that information? The only result I can see now would be that I'd just limit my behavior and preferences to continue adhering to those labels, and I'd be afraid to allow change into my life. And also, no one cares. My value to a person or group is based on my skills and the context of the group, not on some overcomplicated identity resume. I'll still call myself by certain approximate labels when necessary to add context to a comment, but I don't make them a priority in my life anymore. It's actually quite enjoyable to just be a nebulous entity. I don't have to behave based on some set of rules that I picked out. You expressed this struggle so well. The desire to be self-aware and know yourself, yet the frustration of feeling limited. I also find other people label me almost to ease their own mind. But people are fluid. Video games. I used to social distance myself to just play video games all day, not caring about everything else in my life. At some point I got my crap together and it all worked out. I still play games occasionally, but years after they are released so I can pick them up cheaper. Relationships. They're fun and can be great for character building, but they aren't needed to better yourself like some would, me, think. Good point. So many people, including myself, get convinced that everything will be better if you are with a certain person, and when it fails they are left feeling hopeless. Being secure with yourself makes for an infinitely better relationship because you respect yourself as much as you respect your partner. For my working from home life, I've gone without using my mouse for my laptop as I sit on the couch and I've gotten pretty used to it now. Speaking of which, although I knew this before, working from office is usually totally unnecessary and so are all meetings in person. I work much better from home, with alcohol, and at my own time. Might get downvoted, as it isn't actually an essential at all, but I was addicted and honestly believed I needed it to live. Been clean for 3.5 years now. Feels good, man. You can do it. I'm 12 years off and I don't miss it at all. Eating out. It's nice every once in a while, but after cooking at home during this pandemic, I have been feeling better in general and the food is always how I like it. Dating. I can't do it. I tried it. I just get tired of having to always consider the needs of another person when I want to do something. I couldn't imagine moving in with somebody for the rest of my life. This is me 2 years ago. Then she showed up. God damn it. This one really close friend in college. Long story short, they betrayed me, and in a time in my life when I really needed friends I had none. And while I spent all that time sad and pining, I realized later that I made it through. Without someone I couldn't go a day without speaking to. Nicotine. I started at 16 and I smoked till I was about almost 20. Haven't smoked in already almost 2 years and I don't miss it at all. Marijuana. My life is 1000% times better without it. I don't wake up groggy and depressed anymore and it is truly life changing. Toxic friend. We both sucked in the friendship, but I finally had the balls to cut him off when he started dating a drug abusing freshman after her friend was shot. He's a senior and we're both in high school. Miss him sometimes, but ultimately I'm happier and less stressed. A girlfriend in general. I've spent most of my life without one and felt the need for one for just as long, and just this past year I've been able to live content without. I have to say the maturity of being able to handle being single is a good feeling. My crap job. I was paid well below national average while living in a high cost of living area. I was on call 24/7. I was expected to take calls at any time without extra compensation. I had to travel and was gone 2/3 of the time. Per diem was an ancient agreed upon rate from the early 2000s. I was expected to have 8-hour response times to anywhere in the mainland USA. I couldn't have a social life because I was either gone or had to be ready to leave ASAP. The work I was servicing was sometimes done by morons who almost got me killed multiple times. Despite all of this, I felt a righteous duty to do my best. My body was failing me. I was lacking sleep. I was severely depressed. The virus ramped up and made traveling extra stressful on top of dangerous. Our whole office got sick at once, so I self-quarantined. My job called me in immediately and fired me for staying home. On my drive home I cried. I was so happy. I called my co-workers to let them know what happened since they were all at home and sick, or out in the field. They got pissed at management for being obtuse. They all said I deserved better and that they were honestly looking for new work. 2. I don't know how to be social anymore. I want to make friends, but I don't know how. I no longer have a hobby of any kind. With the sickness going around, people don't hang out anywhere. I'm unfortunately stuck in a state of isolation still, but I have hope that one day soon I can make friends with my newfound freedom. Maybe I can have an actual life. Maybe even date, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. But the possibility is there now, so that's nice. My now ex-girlfriend felt super distant even before quarantine, and no matter how hard I tried, she said that we were fine the way we were. Meat. Thought the vegetarians were weird, grew up in a family of meat eaters, then realized that my personal morals were not in line with my actions. If I wouldn't kill the animal myself, why should I pay someone else to do it for me? Bunch of other reasons too, but mainly the realization that my unnecessary food came at the expense of another's life. Drugs. My daily cocktail was coke, Xans and weed. Coke to wake up with and whenever I wanted to move. Xans when I wanted to feel calm, and weed all the time. Been off coke and Xans for almost 2 years. Weed. Psychs once a blue moon. You feel so crappy then too. 3 months later you feel better than ever. Not really against drugs. It just kept me from success and was a crutch, not for me. Snacks. Extra calories. I used to be overweight and always had my favorite cereals, bags of chips, soda, frozen foods etc because they made me happy and were easier, faster to make. Once I cut it all out and cooked for myself more frequently, I found I didn't need it and felt so much better without it. I lost about 70 pounds in a year and never looked back. 2 things. A microwave and a dishwasher. I moved into a new house 6 months ago without either. What I found was that it takes about 5 minutes to do dishes as opposed to 2 hours in the dishwasher, and you never have to search for a dish because it's in the dishwasher or wait until it's full to run it. Your dishes are always clean and ready. Microwaves are fast, but you can heat up leftovers on the stove or in the oven at low heat for less than 10 minutes and they're hot all the way through. No cold or burning spots, and I have more room on my countertop. I've come to the same conclusion about dishwashers after living without one for a few years, but I will never not have a microwave. I think they actually do save a lot of time and small ones are cheap and easy. High-end coffee drinks. Nobody needs a half-calf double whipped macchiato with ice and sprinkles. You're basically just drinking your dessert, which is fine, but nobody needs that. I used to always drink sodas, teas etc. Never water. I didn't like water. Until a few years ago, I had a kidney stones twice. The most painful experience I've had. Now all I drink is water. Weed. Seemed like when I was smoking it was essential to me, but when I stopped for 6 months it didn't bother me. I'm currently smoking though and enjoying it. Nothing too dramatic, but I went to a ton of concerts last year and took a ton of pictures and videos with my new phone just because the quality was way better than my older phones. I kept them for ages because I felt that I should, and I kept telling myself that I'd eventually move them to my laptop, but when my phone told me my storage was up, it took virtually no time to delete all the videos and majority of the pictures. Turns out, I only really need a couple of really solid pics from the night to look back on fondly. Fucking Starbucks, man. Stopped going daily, sometimes twice in a day, and now I take that same money and put it towards taking the wife and myself to Mexico every year. Every 3 years we go twice in that year. Stop buying overpriced coffee, people. Animal products like milk and eggs. Vegan and happy now. But on an emotional note, I did think a life lived single would be miserable. I couldn't see a future for myself entirely alone. I do now realize that a happy and fulfilling life is entirely possible on my own, and I don't need anybody else to complete my life, though it would be a bonus. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.